eliminate this 30% credit much sooner than previously anticipated too. What if you're powering your home with the sun, reducing your energy dependency on the grid and saving money on your energy bills? Well, for many American homeowners and businesses, and myself included, this vision has been a reality thanks in part to a powerful incentive, the 30% federal clean energy tax credit. For years, this credit has been a cornerstone in the transition towards a cleaner energy future, encouraging investments in solar panels, battery storage, and other clean technologies. But now, the future of this crucial incentive hangs in the balance. A new proposal emerging from the House of Representatives aims to drastically alter and potentially eliminate this 30% credit much sooner than previously anticipated too. This isn't just about a tax break. It's about affordability of clean energy and the trajectory of our energy independence. In this video, we'll break down what the 30% energy tax credit is, how it currently benefits homeowners and businesses, and what the potential fallout could be if these proposed changes actually become law. So let's start with the basics. For homeowners, the residential clean energy credit currently sets at 30%, allows you to deduct a pretty big portion of the cost of qualified energy purchase from your federal taxes. Now, this includes solar electric panels, like the solar panels we talk on here, solar water heaters, wind turbines, geothermal heat pumps, fuel cells, and importantly, battery storage systems installed from 2023 onwards. This credit isn't just a drop in the bucket. For a typical residential solar installation that costs around $20,000, a 30% credit translates to a substantial $6,000 reduction in your tax liability. When you add a battery to the mix for, let's say, $16,000, you now almost get $5,000 back. So your net cost of the battery is only around $11,000. This incentive has been huge in driving the adoption of residential solar across the whole country. A ton of homeowners do it for the environmental reasons, but most importantly, for financial reasons, and to lower the amount our money that IRS keeps. I have had plenty of customers who are in the higher tax bracket, and this tax credit was definitely extremely helpful. The tax credit makes the upfront investment more manageable, shortens the ROI, and ultimately makes sustainable energy more accessible option for basically everyday American. We can see tangible savings on our monthly energy bill, increase our home's value, and contribute to a greener future, all while benefiting from this significant tax break. Now let's turn our attention to businesses. The landscape here is a little bit more complex, involving what's often referred to as investment tax credit or ITC. While also currently at 30% for solar, it applies to commercial and industrial scale projects. This credit has been a powerful stimulus for large-scale solar farms, commercial building solar installations, and other clean energy ventures. It lowers the capital cost for businesses, making these projects much more financially viable and honestly super attractive. There are actually more federal aids or benefits when businesses go solar, making it in many cases pretty much a no-brainer. Businesses utilizing the ITC can significantly reduce their operating expenses through cheaper energy, not to mention cleaner energy, supporting grid demand during the day. From small businesses installing solar on their rooftops to large corporations investing in massive solar farms, the 30% ITC has been a key driver of economic growth. Now, why is this so worrisome to me? A Dallas, Texas local installer and a huge solar ownership, keyword here, ownership advocate. It's important to draw a distinction here between outright purchase and leasing arrangements. Now, particularly when we talk about commercial investment solar tax credit or that ITC. Under the current regulations, businesses can often claim the 30% ITC even if they lease solar energy systems rather than directly owning them. Now, in Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, we were introduced to what's called a tax credit transferability. Businesses with significant tax liability can now purchase these credits at a discount. Hence, leasing to homeowners again became popular. Now, if the proposed changes significantly curtail or even eliminate the 30% residential tax credit for homeowners who purchase their system, this could create a scenario where leasing a solar system might become actually one of the very few, if not the only way, for some homeowners to indirectly benefit from any remaining federal tax incentives. Now, this would be contingent whether or not the commercial ITC, which currently accommodates leases, remains in some form after the proposed changes are passed, if they're passed. So what would be the real-world impact of these changes on actual homeowners? Well, the most immediate and significant consequence would be a substantial increase in the upfront cost of installing a solar energy system. So for that same $20,000 residential solar installation, losing the 30% tax credit would mean that the homeowner would now be responsible for basically the full $20,000, a $6,000 difference. This could put solar and other clean energy technologies out of reach for very many middle-class families who rely on these incentives to make the investment feasible. The economics of going solar would fundamentally change. The payback period, or ROI, which is the time that it takes the energy savings to actually offset the initial cost, would extend significantly. This diminished return on investment will definitely discourage many homeowners who are considering switching to solar energy. The sense of urgency and the financial attractiveness of that 30% tax credit provides would be significantly diminished. If ownership of residential solar system loses that incentives, what are the implications, especially if leasing becomes more prominent option? So while leasing can lower the initial cost barrier, and that's basically how most salespeople sell it, on a low monthly payment, it's crucial for homeowners to understand the potential downsides compared to owning your solar system. One significant drawback of a solar lease is that homeowners typically do not own the equipment, basically like the name implies. So this means you do not build equity in the system, just like renting a home versus buying it. And since the lease tend to be very, very long, who is to say what will the implications be when the time comes to remove that system from your rooftop? That's actually permanently installed and attached to your roof. Are they also going to replace your roof afterwards when they remove it? With leases, the goal is to basically not own it and not worry about it. You just pay for the electricity generated by the system, often at a rate that may or may not be significantly lower than the previous utility bills over the long run. Gosh, I'm not against solar, but removing the residential tax credit is only going to create more solar scams and tax fraud. We need to regulate the commercial one instead. But I just digress way too much. So another key difference is the lack of control over your actual system, which isn't yours, by the way. Homeowners with leases usually cannot make modifications or upgrades to the equipment without the leasing company giving you permission. And what about the transferability of a solar lease when selling a home? This can sometimes be very complex and may even scare potential buyers. Lease systems are not your system, so when the time comes to selling your home, ask a realtor. It's a freaking headache. Finally, while the leasing company benefits from the tax credits and may pass some savings onto the homeowner, the overall long-term financial benefits for the homeowner are often less substantial compared to owning a system and directly claiming that 30% tax credit. And a lot of people will say that not everyone pays taxes or qualifies for the full amount tax credit. We used to be able to claim the tax credit over a few years and roll over the remaining credits. We still can, or at least until they change the law. But you can claim it over a few years. Carry forward the unused credit that's greater than your tax liability. So if you have a good CPA and a head on your shoulders, some had good head, you would basically be able to claim a properly priced solar system pretty easily. For example, a single person who makes $50,000 a year on average pay $4,000 in federal taxes. It may take this person 2 years to claim that $6,000 tax credit, depending on obviously other deductions. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's get back to the leases. So the total cost of the lease system over a lifetime in majority of the cases exceeds the cost of purchasing a system outright, even without the tax credit. For those who finance the system, oftentimes you're able to claim the tax credit in its full value, not like with the leases when the businesses pass on a portion of those benefits to you. In most cases, it's better financially than leasing. I'm going to work on a video with leases very soon. I don't want this one to take majority of the time, but you can clearly tell I am pretty much against most of them. What about the impact on businesses? Well, it could be equally bad. For commercial solar projects, the ITC often is the critical factor in the financial modeling and viability assessment. An accelerated phase-out could make many large-scale projects less attractive to investors, potentially leading to a slowdown in the development of new solar farms and commercial installations. This could have ripple effects across the clean energy industry, impacting manufacturing, which, by the way, we have a ton right now in the USA, especially in Texas. We have Canadian solar panel manufacturing plant in Dallas, Texas, Mission Solar in San Antonio, Cyrus Panels in Houston. But this will also affect installation jobs and overall supply of renewable energy to the grid itself. Projects that would once economically sound might become marginal or just unfeasible, potentially leading to delays or even cancellations. So this uncertainty could really choke the innovation and investment in the commercial solar energy sector as well. Now, it's important to understand the context behind these proposed changes. They are part of a bigger tax bill in the House Representative that aims to make permanent many provisions of the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act of 2017 and roll back some of the clean energy incentives introduced in the Inflation Reduction Act. Proponents of these changes argue that fiscal responsibility and reevaluation of government subsidies. However, a lot of critics on the other side argue that rapidly cutting these crucial clean energy incentives would be a step backwards. They point that the long-term benefits of the clean energy, including energy independence, job creation, savings for customers, consumers, those outweigh the short-term costs of the tax credit, especially on the residential side. Now, as of today, these proposed changes are still under consideration. The House Ways and Means Committee has approved the bill containing these provisions, but it must still navigate the full House of Representatives and then the Senate. The final outcome is far from certain, and there's likely to be a significant debate and negotiation as the legislative process unfolds. This means that the voices of homeowners, businesses, and concerned citizens can play a huge role in shaping the future of these energy incentives. Staying informed about the progress of this legislation and engaging with your elected officials are so important. It's one of the most important steps in ensuring that your perspective is heard. Not just as a homeowner wanting to one day be energy independent and produce your own energy, but business owners, installers like myself, employees of solar businesses, employees of manufacturing plants in the USA. This may literally affect every American. The 30% tax credit has been a powerful tool in driving the adoption of solar energy in the United States. It has empowered homeowners to invest in sustainable future and resiliency while saving money. It has enabled businesses to embrace cleaner operations and contribute to our nation's environmental and economic goals. The proposed changes represent a significant shift that could have far-reaching consequences. The decisions made in the coming months will for sure shape the future of clean energy in America for years to come. Please share in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you see this as a step in the right direction or a step backwards? If you care about this tax credit, call your elected official. Tell them that this might directly affect you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.